Okay, here we go. So it is evening time, actually just about 11 o'clock here for me, 11 p.m. But I wanted to bang out this video recording tonight just to get ahead of the game. So this is the follow-on from today's lecture about how to write our conclusion. So what I've just done is I've just actually gone through the steps that we covered today and completed them one by each. So first one again is to just reread our introduction paragraph, and that's important because our conclusion should be a basically reversed engineering of that initial introduction. Step two, you're going to rewrite your thesis statement, but in a new way, trying to maintain your voice. Step three, you will compose the expanding section, which tries to create real-world connections. And then step four, you're going to add your capstone statement or your final insight. So I've just completed that. So here we have it. I'll just go through and highlight each section. So each of those components. So here is our first sentence, which is again a restating of my thesis. So you can see down below I've got my introduction, and the thesis statement is basically right here. Therefore, with support from scholarly sources, a critical analysis framework will be developed to interpret Kogawa's implementation of parables as message portals in Obasan through a multifaceted approach, a literary analysis methodology, the beta window lens of characters, the alpha window devices injected into culturally focused fairy tales, and story synthesis of the children's eyes. So that's actually been edited, and here's my restatement of that. A little bit simpler, but it captures the same core. Now you notice I start with my conclusion marker. In conclusion, Kogawa intentionally twins her characters, metaphors and similes, and myth creation to elucidate the core theme of trauma coping mechanisms. Now we move into the section that we would call our expanding sentences. So it's kind of this middle section here. And as you can see, it's basically one sentence, two sentences, three sentences. So perfect. At the dizzying height of this implementation of myths, readers meet the ruthless kingbird, who hovers above all with piercing laser eyes, searching like a colonial overlord for the slightest indiscretion, which will be punished with a pulverizing attack from above to silence the victim. So immediately you can see what I'm doing. I'm expanding out, taking that final important myth or fairy tale that the kids created, that we focused on, that kingbird myth, the one that we have when they're in the forest kind of climbing up the mountain. And so you can see where I'm going with this, right? An attack from above. So I've repeated myself, but that's done intentionally. It's a bit of refrain. An attack from above that silences the transgressor like a dive bomber, like an inquisition, like a nuclear bomb. So you can see the connection I'm making both back to the novel and to the true historical events here. In the end, it is the children who create this myth, but it stinks of truth, and their no longer innocent interpretation of how the world works, or how it has treated them and their families, cannot be overlooked. So here comes my final insight, or what we call our capstone statement. I guess it's actually two sentences, but that's allowable. Herein lies Kogawa's real message. This is the bitter candy that the author has laid down for the readers like an ironic trail of breadcrumbs, lest we forget, indeed. If we do not, horrifically, we may see this history repeat itself. So you can see what I've done there. I've taken this famous phrase that we apply to World War II remembrance, to Remembrance Day, and how we want to honor our veterans. We shouldn't forget some of the good things that happened, but we also have to remember, I'm trying to hint at, that there were some terrible things that happened, as this novel showed us. So basically, this is a strong example of a conclusion paragraph, and let's see what we ended up with in terms of our word count here. So we could go up to Tools, do our word count. So it is 165. That's bang on perfect. So our word count ended up being 165, and the ideal range is 150 to 185 for a conclusion paragraph. Excellent. Okay, so there we go. So now to just finish it all off and put everything into perspective, we grab this bit and I can take it down to the end of my essay. So here is kind of my working draft, as you can see, and I've got the page marker there for where the conclusion should start. And I'm actually just going to make it the correct size. Okay, wonderful. So there you go. So I'm feeling pretty good because now my first draft is completed. Let's just grab the whole thing and see what the total word count is, because that's going to tell me what kind of editing work I have in front of myself before Friday in order to get everything trimmed down to fit into our overall word count. Ooh, look at that, 1670. So I am right in the sweet spot. I don't need to do a ton of trimming. I can actually just go through and edit for quality of my sentences, make sure that all of my ideas are exactly the way I want them. So I'll just put this at the bottom. I like to have a word count for myself. Perfect. Okay, wonderful. Hopefully this helps you. Good luck with your conclusion writing and with getting your final drafts edited.